Good afternoon. It is Friday, January 22nd, and welcome back to The Pulse. I'm Kate Regan, finally back in the studio with another exciting program in store. On this edition of The Pulse, Lena Muraski uncovers some local hidden gems, while Carolyn Miner highlights an organization fighting to bring about change in Manchester and beyond. We have all that and more on this week's program. Stay tuned because you're watching The Pulse. The fight for racial justice and equity continues, and Carolyn Miner profiles how Power Up Manchester and its founder works to bring unity and change to our local community.
2020 has been a difficult year for everyone. While watching the news may make some feel like giving up, there is one person who will not, Corinne Prescott. Corinne started a protest in the center of town after the murder of George Floyd in June of 2020. She founded Power Up Manchester, an organization fighting for racial justice and change.
And I just decided to go, and I don't regret it.
Summer marches had anywhere from 400 to 5,000 people. Since then, Manchester has held open mic events, protests, fundraisers, and inspired the board of directors to declare racism a public health crisis. While Manchester has created lots of change, Corinne explains that there is still much work to be done.
Why aren't there more Black and brown administrators and teachers and staff of color, so that way kids can to identify, you know what, I could be a principal, I could be a teacher.
Since speaking with Corinne, a disturbing event occurred at the state capitol. She was assaulted and spit on by a white woman. Days later, threats were made towards Corinne and Power Up Manchester.
People are just so against the movement, I don't understand why.
Racism is embedded in all parts of society. Power Up Manchester hopes that the anti-racism work will not only be left up to people of color.
White people will practice anti-racism on a daily basis. It is a conscious thing. It is something that you have to do because as a white person, you have been born into a world that is completely made specifically for you.
A diverse group of activists will be necessary in order to combat racism.
While many things have been paused due to the pandemic, activism is not one of them. The pandemic has highlighted the racial violence and discrimination, making people more aware of the systemic racism built into society. Manchester and its activists will not back down when it comes to fighting for equality and educating communities. From Manchester, this has been Carolyn Miner reporting.
Power Up Manchester reminds all of us that racism is real and that we all have a role in defeating it. Please check out their Facebook page for more information about how you can be involved. Supporting the community is about activism, but it can also be about direct assistance for some of our most vulnerable residents. Despite the lack of sporting events, Rentschler Field in nearby East Hartford has been busy as a venue for support. Jonah Nielsen takes us down to Silver Lane to discover one of the many ways that this space is being used to benefit the community.
Through these dark times, places such as Rentschler Field, normally home to the University of Connecticut football team, is now the host of something new for the people of Connecticut. Beginning in March of 2020, a food drive was formed, made from a team of the Connecticut Food Bank and Food Share. They have started this contact-free food drive to help support struggling families across Connecticut that need assistance from the problems that have struck when COVID-19 hit. Molly Devaney talks about how this food drive came to be and how it implements COVID-19 guidelines.
So we started the Rentschler Field in March, and we felt that we had to do something when COVID hit. And the most important thing was to do it as touchless as possible. So we started doing take the product and physically put it into the cars for people. So they had to pop their trunk before they came up to the volunteers, and then we would put the product in the car, and then they would drive off.
This food drive brings major benefits to these people and families in need. Even the people just handing out boxes of food notice how much they are helping these people and changing their lives.
Having these pantries set up where they're not questioning them, asking them for all that information, makes people feel good because they're getting help, they need it, but they don't have to give out all their information.
Not only does FoodShare help in big ways, but even right here in Manchester, FoodShare and the Food Bank help get food out using the North Congregational Church on North Main Street in Manchester, which has been going on for years now. This food pantry helped dozens of people before COVID, and those numbers grew when COVID hit. We talked to Luis Leto about the importance of this smaller food pantry and what it has done to help people with the teamwork of FoodShare.
A lot of people in the community donate, and they feel good about that, either money or food. All of us are volunteers, none of us are paid. We get a huge satisfaction. And then the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families, we put food on their table.
It's people like this and organizations like FoodShare that are changing people's lives every day. For more information, visit foodshare.org. From Rensselaer Field in Manchester, this has been Jonah Nielsen reporting.
Rensselaer Field is a busy place being used not only for food distribution but also COVID-19 testing and vaccinations. If you need food assistance, please visit foodshare.org for their schedule at Rensselaer and other locations. While the coronavirus has impacted us all greatly, we have seen it hit some harder than others. Even while food organizations like FoodShare help with groceries, there are people that sadly go without a meal every day. Tony Machete travels to Hartford to highlight Church Street Eats, an organization working to provide meals with people with nowhere else to turn.
Every week, Christ Church Cathedral in Hartford helps feed the homeless. They go by Church Street Eats. It's a place for people in need to come and eat. They've been doing this for 15 years and don't plan to stop. Usually guests will come in and eat in a dining room, but due to the pandemic, they have had to adapt.
At the beginning of the year, we had to find different ways or think of a different way to serve our guests here at Church Street Eats, and we've come up with a grab and go, which is probably the most convenient and the easiest.
There are hours of preparation that needs to go into the event so it can run smoothly.
In preparation for today, there's probably about, between taking inventory and talking what we're going to do and so forth and doing the shopping, there's probably about 4 to 5 hours before I'm here Sunday morning.
After continuously seeing volunteers and guests multiple times, you'll start to get to know them and create special bonds with them.
Yes, especially with the people that come in to help. But also there are guests who've been coming for a long time that we actually look forward to seeing and talking to each week.
It is truly amazing to see what people are doing this year during the holidays and COVID. From Hartford, this has been Tony Machete reporting.
It is wonderful and inspiring to see how communities all around Greater Hartford are working together to make things better for people. Our last story demonstrates how one person can make a difference and be a change agent for their community. Lena Muraski travels to Coventry to learn how the legacy of David Hayes and how his artwork inspires people of Connecticut and around the world.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit last March, museums were closed indefinitely, leaving a void in the art community. Little did we know that a Connecticut artist by the name of David Hayes was about to solve this problem. Hayes has over 300 exhibitions in the US and Europe. What most people don't know is his largest collection of works is located in Coventry, Connecticut, at his former home. Those looking to enjoy art in a socially distanced way have been flocking to the sculpture fields. Speaking remotely, the artist's son, David Hayes Jr., expresses why the field is so popular during the pandemic.
The place is actually COVID safe because there's nobody around. So, anybody can just drive a car right in the driveway and spend a couple of hours just walking around, enjoying the artwork, enjoying the nature, enjoying the wildlife. It makes for just a marvelous experience.
Hayes was born in Hartford, but grew up in Manchester. He graduated from Manchester High. The town has multiple installations of his sculptures. Two of the easiest to find are Totem at Center Springs Park and Grasshopper at the Lutz Children's Museum. This is especially fitting since Hazel Lutz was David's art teacher in elementary school. Hayes' artwork consists of steel creations, paintings, plaster figures, and more. Bob Donston, a local realtor, brought his family out in March to tour the fields and has since become a volunteer, helping to restore many of the pieces. I asked Bob what he likes best about Hayes sculptures.
Every sculpture has a different feel to it, so two people could look at the sculpture and see something different in it, and I believe that's some of the reasons why people like his work.
Those lucky enough to book a private, guided tour can see the house and studio where David Hayes made many of his creations. You can get more information on Hayes and the sculpture fields, including maps for guided tours, at davidhayes.com. David Hayes passed away from leukemia on April 9, 2013 at his home in Coventry, but his work will forever continue to inspire others. From Fox 61 Student News, this has been Lena Muraski reporting.
From winning hearts in the fight for racial equality to filling the bellies of those in need to find inspiration artwork, Manchester and surrounding areas demonstrate how communities can tackle problems together. On that positive note, that's all we have for you this week, Manchester. If you have any story ideas we might have missed, you can email Mr. Larson at b11elars@mpspride.org, and don't forget to follow us on our social media and check out our past work by heading to mhstelevision.com. I'm Kate Regan, and this has been The Pulse.